Shabbat Shalom. You will notice that Cantor Norman is not here. He's a little under the weather, so I'm flying solo today, which you know, for those of you who are regulars, you know what that means. If you love your rabbi, or if you mildly like him, sing loudly. Don't worry, he'll be back in the morning, but we're giving him a little bit of break. And since I was gone last weekend, why not? It is nice to be back. It's nice when you go to. I was in Cleveland at a different synagogue for my cousin's children's Benot mitzvah, his twin girls, which was lovely and wonderful. And as a rabbi, you're always there. You can never just be a congregant. You're always like critiquing what everybody else is doing. That I wouldn't do that. Okay, which I'm sure as rabbis who come here do, they say the exact same thing about our services. But it's nice to be home with services that we are familiar with. We're going to begin our service on page 142. Page 142, Shalom Aleichem. We welcome, or we ask God's angels to accompany us on our way into Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malchuni Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem Leshalom, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. The Chadodi, page 138. Lechadodi lihikrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lechadoti likrat kala, peni Shabbat nekabela, lechadoti likrat kala, peni Shabbat nekabela, lechadoti likrat kala. Shabbat nekabela, Shahamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila, Lechadodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, meherosh mikedem nesucha, so ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila, Lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi uri, shir daveri, yevot Adonai Allahayich nikla, lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. We rise, we turn to the door, we welcome the Shabbat bride. Bohi v'shalom ahateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, bohi chala, lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Page 140, Tov lehodot Adonai, it is good to give thanks to God. Tov, Tov, Tov lehodot, Tov lehodot Adonai. Tov, Tov, Tov lehodot, Tov lehodot Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, l'shimcha elyon. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov, Tov, Tov lehodot, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov, Tov, Tov lehodot, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ginny, would you like to light our Shabbat candles? Ginny? Yeah. Maybe I should give you a little warning.
אתה אדוני אלוהינו לפני בקע העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen. Thank you so much. Turning to page 146, we rise to praise God, to whom our praise is due. Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. You may be seated. We'll talk about why I'm seated, for those of you who don't know, a little bit later. On page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. You guide, as heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'avim. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol avavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukashartam le'ohot al yadecha v'hayulatotafot beinenecha uchatavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeruhu v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim l'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem l'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neheda b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neheda b'kodesh. Nora tehilo, Hosefele. Nora tehilo, Hosefele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neheda b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neheda b'kodesh. V'nei amar kived Adonai et Yaakov, u'ge'elod mi'ad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Page 160. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, Horei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, la'asot et Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing it throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. Sheshet Yamim, Asa Adonai, Et HaShamayim, Ve'et HaAretz, Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, Lasot et HaShabbat, Le'torotam V'ayom hashvi'i, Shavat v'yinafash, Shavat v'yinafash, Shavat v'yinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, rise for Amidah, page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'imboteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevii Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaya Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mohorid Ha'atah Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Yevudot Umidom Elach Melech Meimir Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanat HaLehachayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha HaKadosh U'Kedoshim b'chol yom Yehaleluhu Chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. You may be seated. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shchinato l'Tzion. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, that your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper. Let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lechana lehodot. Shalom Rav, a great peace. Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Before we take a moment for silent personal prayer, we think about our friends and neighbors, members of our community, members of our own family who are in need of God's blessing of healing, healing of the body, healing of the spirit. On this Shabbat, we are especially thinking about Osvaldo Barraza, Joan Berger, Zelma Berger, Elliot Citron, Eliyahu Ben Ruvain, Vimiriam, Elka Rock, Rita Gold, Marion Gordon, Sharon Greenberg, Joseph Grunberg, Shoshana Grunberg, Sidel Howitt, Ed Johns, Mindy Elizabeth Jones, Susan Jones, Joss Cantor, Alice Klein, Hilda Matrani, Peggy Paul, Mitchell Shermer, Shoshana Dvorah Barchava, Barry Sugar, Nancy Simon, Ruvain Ben Zelig, Vitsivia Halevi, R.A. Tzvi Ben Sarah, Kevin Webb, Peter Wells, Tema Bat Zelig, Jane Gaslow, and Herb Feldman. Yishaberach Avatenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu yavarech v'yirapeh et cholim Kodesh Baruch Hu yamalei rachamim alehem v'hachlimam l'raptotam v'hachazikam v'hachyotam v'yishlach b'mheira refuah shlema refuat nefesh u'refuat guf b'tok shar cholei Yisrael Hashtaba Galav Izman Kariv and Omar. We say, Amen. Take a moment for silent personal prayer. Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. So, as we used to say in homiletics class, that's the class that we used to take in rabbinical school on how to give sermons, I'm workshopping an idea. I'm happy to get your feedback, but I'm going to say I'm still working on this sermon. I think there's a bigger sermon in this, but some of you who have been here in the previous couple of weeks know that I've been dealing with a bit of a burden. For the past now 7 weeks, I've been in a good bit of pain. It comes from a herniation of 2 discs between my L3 and L4 and L5 vertebrae. I can't tell you what caused it. My spine and pain specialist said that I could have had this for years, and some little thing was enough to set me off. With 2 now epidurals and a regular regimen of medication, I'm now able to manage the pain, but there were days when I could not walk more than 50 or 100 feet. I couldn't stand for more than a minute before the pain began radiating down my leg. And only in the last couple of days have I come close to sleeping through the night. It's not just what has been at the top of my mind, but at points it has been the only thing that has been on my mind. The pain can be all-consuming. I share this not because I'm looking for sympathy, and trust me, I have more recommendations of excellent surgeons, neurologists, chiropractors, and acupuncturists than I will ever have time to be able to see. I share this with you because I know that I am not alone. Many of you have had these moments in your life. I know that I am not alone because in this week's Torah portion, the Ha'alotecha, Moses is at his own painful breaking point. He may not have been suffering physically, but emotionally, he is at the point of real burnout. He cries out, "God, why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not enjoyed your favor, that you have laid the burden of all this people upon me?" Now, the people have been complaining incessantly. Quite literally, they are described as weeping, every person at the entrance of his or her tent. Moses tells God, I cannot carry all this people by myself, for it is too much for me. If you would deal thus with me, kill me rather, I beg you, and let me not see any more of my wretchedness. Now, thankfully, while there have been several points where my pain has been pretty unbearable, I wasn't at the point of asking God to take my life and end my pain. But I did feel, as Moses described it, the burden of the pain. And I've been sitting with that word, burden, and I realized that there is something to be learned from it. In Hebrew, the word burden is masah. It is literally something that we carry. At the same time, in the stories of the biblical prophets, what's interesting is that prophetic utterances, what the prophets would prophetically say, was also called a masah. It was what they carried. And for them, in many cases, the prophets saw this as a burden. For me, I think about that and I say, sometimes the burden is a message. Sometimes there is a message within the burden. So I asked myself, what is the message of my pain? Right? There's three that I'm working on. Okay? Not all of them are as fully developed, but I wanted to share three thoughts. The first actually comes from the end of the Parsha. Aaron and Miriam, some of you know this story, Aaron and Miriam speak out against their brother because of the Cushite woman that he married. Now, what was the problem with that? We don't really know. There's all kinds of thoughts about it, but they're speaking badly about their brother, and Miriam gets punished. She gets punished by being covered with this white scaly affliction, right, what is known as tzara'at. We read about that at other points in the Bible. And what happens? Okay? She is suffering, and Moses prays to God, El na refana la. 5 words, oh God, please, heal her, please. 5 words. It is considered the shortest prayer in the Torah. El na refana la. 5 short words. So why is this prayer the shortest one? I have one thought, and that is when somebody is in pain, okay, that we need to address that in the shortest possible time. We shouldn't spend long hours praying. Okay? Yes, prayer is a form of healing or a way to heal, okay? But in praying as soon as and as shortly as possible, Moses is saying, God, please deal with this as quickly as possible. And I think that there's another piece to this, and that is the word na. Na gets repeated. El, na, refa, na, la. Okay? The please is repeated. And for me, I think about that and I say that is a reminder, okay, that we need to feel empathy, okay, that we ourselves, okay, by saying please, okay, somehow take on a little bit of that burden. We need to feel that empathy. Right? That's the first idea. The second is the idea of pain being so burdensome that it is hard to focus on anything else. Right? And when we are only focusing on that, okay, then we know that we're not focusing on other things. Right? And that sometimes we need to get out of our own pain, right? Or we need to focus on something else in order to get out of our own pain. Sometimes we Jews, we focus on our own pain so much that we miss out on the chance to acknowledge other people's pains. Sometimes we as individuals are so wrapped in ourselves, okay, that we can't see somebody else who is in pain beside us. Okay? And I think that authentic Jewish living is a shuttle between what is good for me and what is good for the Jewish people, or for that matter, what is good for humanity. Okay? And there's the Hillel, im ein ani li mili, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? Ukshe'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, if I'm only for myself, then what am I? Okay, that we have to find a balance between the pain that we are feeling and how hard that is when we ourselves are in excruciating pain to see somebody else's pain. Then there's a third thought, and I want to go back in Jewish tradition to our biblical ancestor who first dealt with pain. Yes, Abraham was circumcised at the age of 99. I'm sure he experienced some pain. Isaac, I'm sure, had some psychological pain going through the Akedah. But I want to talk about Jacob. Okay? And there is a moment, right? There are really two moments, okay? There's the moment when Jacob encounters and wrestles with the angel of God, who wrenches his hip out of the socket, so much so that Jacob will walk with a limp for the rest of his life. Okay? Now that's not the first time. Okay? Jacob also encounters God at a second point, or at a first point, also at night. Okay? And there's where I want us to focus. Okay? Jacob encounters God at moments of darkness. Okay? The first time is when he dreams of the ladder of angels. I don't know for some reason why the lights, it got a little dark in here. It's because what are they called? The spotlights. For whatever reason, the spotlights aren't working tonight, so that's why it's dark. Right? So, oddly enough, that I'm speaking about darkness here, Jacob encounters these moments, God's moments in darkness. You can try all you want, I've tried. Right? And he sees the ladder of angels, and the Midrash says that God actually made the sun set earlier than usual in order to ensure that God was able to speak to Jacob in this moment of darkness. Okay? And God says, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you are lying I will assign to you and your offspring. Your descendants will be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and the east, to the north and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless you by them and by your descendants. And here it comes. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Remember, I am with you. In darkness, God makes a promise to God, a promise of comfort, all right, of protection. Okay? But Jacob's experience in this darkness, okay, and his reaction to it really matters. What happens in his darkness is crucial. Okay? A covenant is made and a prayer is created. Okay? Tradition tells us that the creation of the evening service, Ma'ariv, right, is attributed to our ancestor Jacob. Okay? Like his father and his grandfather before him, Jacob used prayer to mark time, evening, morning, afternoon. But the Midrash goes on to say that at evening, a person should say, may it be thy will, God, O Lord my God, that you bring me out of darkness into the light. Jacob was the first person to pray in the dark, okay? To make holy what was otherwise terrifying, paralyzing, unknown. To lean into the darkness, to embrace it, to follow God's lead in transforming it into something that was new. Okay? In that unique experience, I think Jacob serves as a model for dealing with the variations of darkness in our own lives. And right now, in this moment of pain and uncertainty, I am feeling some of those ebbs and flows. I'm nervous, but I'm also hopeful. Things feel very unfamiliar right now, but just maybe things will adjust. At first, the pain was really so acute that it felt like I was in a well, in a pit with smooth walls. I was trapped at the bottom, unable to climb or crawl my way out. There were some days over the last 7 weeks where I really felt stuck. Thankfully, I was able to see out of my darkness. My pain has shifted, and it's changed a lot in the past few weeks. And I still feel like I'm carrying some of it, but it largely comes now largely in predictable waves. Sometimes all at once, sometimes not at all. I think pain has taught me what's possible in the darkness, what can be transformed because of that darkness. I feel more acutely other people's pain. I recognize that my pain is not alone, and that I have a responsibility to care for others' pain, even when I am feeling it. And so that darkness doesn't feel quite so dark now. So I'm happy to hear your thoughts about it. You're welcome to share them with you. We're going to turn back to our Sidurim. Helene, would you be willing to come and open our ark for us in memory of your grandfather, Morris Cohen? And as the ark is open, page 586, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tev gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'arat sod, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, begon aleinu kecho hamonam, va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo echad. There are stars up above, so far away that we see their light only long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. On this Shabbat, we remember Jerry Leader and Jack Lieb, who have died over the past 30 days, for whom we are observing Shloshim. And remember these, the yortzites of our congregants' loved ones, whom we've commemorated this past week. Lee Landau Appel, Sarah Botwinick, Paul H. Braun, Morris Cohen, Jack Crouch, Aida Finkelstein, Doris Schulkes Hirsch, Berta R. Hirsch, Pauline Hodes, Gloria Kalman, Leonardo Lieb, Roberta Schwartz Martinez, Rebecca Maslin, Jessica Mollett, Ruth Moss, Renee Ohana, Lieutenant Samuel B. Shapiro, Alvin S. Sherman, Fred Taub, and all those who are listed below who are remembered on our permanent memorial plaques here in the sanctuary. We join together for Kaddish Yatom Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. We invite the congregation to please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach rute v'yamlich malchute, B'chaye echon of yom echon of chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv yimru. Amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevarach le'alam olomei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudasha v'yichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dam ilan be'alma v'yimru. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. The source of peace, and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Together we say, Amen. May be seated. Once again, want to wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom. Say thank you to our service sponsors, to Drs. Laura and Alan Drexler in memory of Pauline Hodes, to Helene Gordon, thank you in memory of her grandfather, Morris David Cohen, and Stephanie and Dr. Henry Hirsch in memory of Berta Hirsch. Just a reminder that, yes, we are rapidly heading into summer. Our Gan Sinai PK4 students had graduation on this very bima yesterday. Always a wonderful moment. I always tear up about it. And so we're end of school means we're coming into Camp Sinai, and we do not go, well, some of us go on vacation, but we never don't have Torah study, and so join us. We encourage you every Saturday online. It's on our Zoom for Torah study at 9 o'clock. You need no previous knowledge. Okay? Jump in at any point, 9 till 10-ish. All right, latest 10:15 if the conversation is flowing, and if you let me know in advance, I will send you the text for the morning in advance. But even if not, you just hop on. We always have the text on the screen for us to study together. Just a great way for all of you to grow as Jews. A reminder, yes, we are going into summer, but to be thinking about next year, if you have elementary age children, first of all, we are starting a kindergarten. Our GON is expanding into kindergarten, so if you know people who, whom that would be of interest, let us know. We still have a couple of slots. And then we're also starting an after-school program for elementary school students. We'll be picking kids up from neighborhood schools and bringing them back here for for homework and for Judaic and for snacks and all of that. So we hope you will take advantage of that. We are going to conclude with the singing of Adon Olam, page 625. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Leheit Nasa B'chefetzo Kol Asai Melech Shemo Nikra Asai Melech Shemo Nikra Velo המוציא ביום מקרא, בידו הפקיד רוחי, בעת תישן והעירה, בהים רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדוני לי ולא אירא. We rise for Kiddush and Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, inchilanu, zikaron, למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. קיבלנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.